What's up, my fellow K owners or future K owners? Welcome back. So, there's been a lot of talk and questions and just kind of a little bit of misinformation about timing belts, and I kind of wanted to help clear up some common misconceptions about timing belts. No, I don't know everything about timing belts, but I've done quite a few here. I have a pretty good sense of, you know, timing belts. It's just a silly topic, timing belts, but knowing something about timing belts. See, this old man, I know I'm going off on a tangent. I used to work at a concrete mixing plant, and I was the diesel mechanic there, lube tech, whatever. I'd worked on them. And he would always come up to me and he's like, I don't know a lot about one thing. I know a little bit about a lot of things. And I like that because I'm just like, if you know a little bit about a lot of things, then you can always kind of bring something to the table instead of just knowing a lot about one thing. Like that one thing is only going to, be important in that one situation. So I've always tried to soak up a little bit about everything through my life. I don't know a lot about a lot of things. I know a little bit about a lot of things. And I think it's saved me in a ton of situations because I'm like, I get the general concept of what that is and what I, should know about this particular subject instead of being super smart at that subject. Like, I love cars. I am so in love with cars. I know a little bit about a lot of cars, and that's pretty much it. If you start going into details about how much boost and what engine and what displacement and blah, 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 I'm just like, I don't care. It sounds sick and it goes fast. That's because I just love a little bit about a lot of cars. I mean, granted, I really like K cars. I really love Mini Coopers. I've always loved Mini Coopers since I was little, and I had books, and I used to know a lot about Mini Coopers, but obviously a lot of that information is, gone out my brain and made room for other things. So I don't particularly know as much as I did about Mini Coopers now that I did back then, but I know enough to really enjoy my Mini Cooper, my classic Mini Cooper, to, have a good sense. But it's hard for me, and I say this because it's hard for me to go to like car shows that are vehicle specific because you get like the super, super nerdy, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but just the person that just only knows everything about that particular thing and like nothing else. And I don't really connect with that because I'm just like, hey, look, I love Mini Coopers because they're small and they're quick and they look really cool. Like, you start going into details, I'm just like, yeah, okay. So I know I went off on a tangent. So I know a little bit about a lot of things. And I get asked this constantly about timing belts. What's a good timing belt? When should I change my timing belt? My timing belt's only got 5,000 kilometers on it. Why do I need to change it? So first thing we need to fully understand about timing belts. A timing belt keeps an engine in time. A timing belt keeps the valves from running into your pistons. To put it in a really simplified manner, it keeps your valves and your pistons in sync. And if they're not in sync, you will hit your valves. I mean, I've seen people put timing belts out of time and they don't realize it, but they hit valves and they bend valves and they don't run right, whatever. So understanding just the really basic concept of a timing belt is to keep the engine in time. It's like us running, and if our legs aren't in time with our arms and the rest of our body, we kind of flop around, we fall, like it doesn't work because we're not synced up with everything else. Just like, we got timing belts with our pistons and our valves, and then we have timing with when we, the spark plug spark. So basically, if we're running and our legs and our arms aren't moving in sync and we're not breathing properly, so we're not getting enough oxygen, like that's a really simplified way to put it. If it's not right, you're going to have catastrophic failure. So I always try to say it's very important to have an idea of when your timing belt was changed and the condition of the timing belt. So here's another thing that keeps coming up, and I just saw it on, I don't want to call out Nick on Way Before the Fame, but he just, I don't mean this in a bad way, I'm just saying, he pointed out on one of the Acties, the timing belt was done like 5,000 kilometers ago. In reality, it doesn't matter. It could have been changed 5,000 kilometers ago, 25 years ago. A timing belt is supposed to be changed every 10 years or 100,000 kilometers. So yeah, half of these K cars that come over here that I work on, the timing belts were changed like 10,000 kilometers ago or 1,000 kilometers ago. But they were also changed like 20 years ago. So just like old rubber and plastics on a car, what do you think happens to the timing belt over time, right? They do crack. And so I have seen a lot of timing belts in my day. Sorry, I didn't mean to call out Nick like that. Like I talked to Nick. Hopefully he doesn't get offended. I get this question asked by people all the time. Like, why are you changing that timing belt? It was changed 5,000 kilometers ago. Well, I'll show you an example of what was changed 5,000 kilometers ago, but the belt was over 10 years old. So let's see how many timing belts I have changed here at OK Garage over the years. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That one's in really bad shape. Shoot, I forgot my number. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. That's 31 timing belts. There's probably more. I didn't start collecting these till quite a bit after I was doing timing belt service here. I just thought it would be cool to save all these timing belts. But that's, I can't remember now. I'll have to look back. 30-something timing belts. So a lot of these timing belts were probably changed, you know, far less kilometers than 100,000 kilometers. But as we all know, K cars from Japan are 25 years and older to at least be in the United States. If you're in Canada or something, that's a different story. Man, this timing belt is so bad. This one must have had a seized up water pump. But anyways, I've done a lot of timing belts and I've seen a lot of timing belts. I've seen some really cracked ones. I've seen some that look brand new. It really just depends on the condition, the car, you know, where the car was kept. Timing belts will dry out, I'm sure, wherever like the driving conditions are. Man, that's a lot of timing belts. Always look for a sticker. So in the K car or the cars from Japan, the sticker is usually in the door jamb or somewhere under the hood. They usually make it pretty obvious where the timing belt sticker is, so you know the timing belt service was done. And they're kind of confusing to read because they use a different year system. So it's like H10 or H9 or R. So it went from H to R. So you can always do Google Translate, and Google Translate will take the H and then convert it to the actual year. So it's always good to try to find that sticker and see like when the timing belt was done or when it was done or if it was done. And obviously that's why I always stress, like when you bring a car here and you don't know when the service was done, or you buy it from someone and you don't know when the service was done, just do the timing belt and be safe. Because if you don't have a Subaru sandbar, all the rest of them, I'm pretty sure, are interference engines. Sandbars are not interference engines. The valves will not hit the pistons. If it snaps, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're stranded, and maybe the belt binds up and breaks your timing belt cover. That's the worst that happens. There's been quite a few instances where timing belts have snapped, and I don't want to call out the company by name, but the belt that they sell says IZK. I think it says IZK original parts. There is no belt in here that's OEM that says original parts on it or IZK. I don't want to say anything bad about China because now stuff's coming out. There's a lot of stuff from China and some stuff is good. Some stuff from China is good. But these belts are not good from China. And I think the part that is so appealing about these belts is they're cheap. And this company will sell them and will continue to sell them because people who buy K cars are usually not looking to spend a lot of money. And so they get the sale. I do agree my prices might be on the upper end of things, but I 150,000% guarantee those parts are coming from Japan and they're reputable brands that people in Japan use, or it's an actual OEM part and not like a original part. So if you get a belt that says IZK on it, do not use it. They snap. I think I've seen like 8 stories now where they've snapped after like 1,000 to 2,000 kilometers, probably even sooner than that. So do not use those belts. They will snap. You will bend a valve. You will ruin your engine, all because you wanted to save 50 bucks. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your car, it's your money, you do what you want to do, but I'm just here to, as someone who works on these and have done quite a few timing belts, I would never, ever in a million years put that belt on a car. And I've had people ask me like, is this IZK belt good? And and this coming from me, it just sounds like a salesman. I'm like, no, throw that. The only place that belt belongs is in the trash. And so and then I'm like, well, you need to buy my belt. So it sounds kind of shady, but perfect example, this individual had an IZK belt and it snapped on an earlier vehicle he had worked on. So the second time he had that belt, which that IZK belt had not snapped, he just was like, brought it up and I said, yeah, if it's an IZK belt, don't throw it on the car, it's gonna snap. And so sure enough, the old one that he used did snap. So at least I shouldn't feel bad anyways because I'm being honest, but at least they know I was telling them the truth. That belt snaps. And I've had plenty of Instagram DMs about the belt snapping, posts on Facebook about the belt snapping, like literally start up after they were installed. So if the belt says IZK, just stay away. It's German for is crap. Don't install that belt. So some obviously good belts from Japan. I've never really heard any horror stories about them snapping unless maybe you completely over tightened the timing belt. But at that point, you're going to hear noises from the tensioner. It's going to be really loud and incorrect. The timing belt tensioner will whine. The Acti will whine. The Subaru will whine. I'm sure all of them will make a weird bearing noise because the timing belt's too tight. But if you're obviously buying an OEM belt from Japan, which I think most of mine are, except for Mitsubishi, which is a good belt that you can get from Japan. Mitsubishi is actually made in Thailand, but that is the belt that I think Mitsubishi, it's not Mitsubishi, it's Mitsubishi. I think they make like 99% of all the belts out there. And I'm talking like alternator belts, AC belts, timing belts. Like obviously Japan is using them. And I believe some of the Mitsubishi belts are actually made in Japan, but those are the belts that are coming on the cars out of the factory. So obviously Mitsubishi belts are good by themselves. Mitsubishi brand belt. Obviously if you buy an OEM belt, it might have Mitsubishi stamped on the belt. So you know Mitsubishi is a good brand. So I usually have Mitsubishi belts. I will have OEM belts. Road Partner makes the belts. Pitwork makes belts. Pitwork is actually, I believe, Nissan. So, you know, Nissan is a reputable company and Pitwork is made by Nissan. I think there's a company called Sun, S-U-N. They make timing belts in Japan or for Japanese vehicles. So if it's not Mitsubishi, Road Partner, Pitwork, Sun, I think Gates, I believe Gates, there's even Gates, I've pulled off a Gates belt before. Gates made belts, I believe they were made in Japan. That's a good one. And also a very good way to know if you have a good belt or not, because you got to think of it like this. Chinese companies are the cheap companies making timing belts. They're just producing the belt width and the teeth and not caring about anything else. OEM belts and belts manufactured by companies that actually care about what they're doing, they are going to have marks on them. So I don't know if you can see that, but there's a white line. And so there's another white line. And what these white lines are indicating is your timing marks. So you'll find your notch or dot or divot on your camshaft and your dot. There's usually like a little dot on your crankshaft pulley. Those are what you line those white dots with. Now, I have seen some cheap belts and they don't have the white dots because I'm just thinking, oh, they're just producing tons of belts. They don't actually care about what it's going for. They just cut them and get them out, and those are usually the ones that aren't any good. So I've seen, I mean, and I don't want to say that's the case every time. There has been a couple belts I've used that didn't have the white line, and those came from Japan. Well, also Honda Actis don't have the white line. So I guess take that one with a grain of salt. I just got a Toyota Crown, the Pitwork belt made by Nissan. That didn't have white marks on it, although the Toyota OEM belt does have white marks. So I guess it just really depends. But at the end of the day, usually the belts that have the white marks are the way to go because they are good belts. So going back to the timing belts, I have changed timing belts on cars that had stickers that said they did them 5,000 kilometers ago. And a perfect example was a Nissan Cedric with an RB25 engine. I don't see the timing belt right now, but it looked like a dried up lake bed. It was so cracked. So I had people going, why'd you change the kilometer on it? That car only had 30,000 kilometers on it. You're not supposed to change it for 100,000 kilometers. Correct, you're absolutely right, but that car is 25 years old. You're supposed to do a timing belt every 10 years. So that belt was way overdue in its timeline versus kilometers. So don't always just go off of kilometers. You got to go off of time because like I said earlier, it's just like rubber. If you let a car sit with rubber tires that were brand new and you maybe put 1 mile on them, but they sat outside for 20 plus years, what happens to tires? They crack, dry out, rot. Like, I'm not trying to come off as like, I'm cocky and know a lot of things, blah, blah, blah. Like I said earlier, I know a little bit about a lot of things, and I feel like I know a little bit enough about timing belts to at least help you decide what timing belt to get, when to change your timing belt. And yeah, so doing all these timing belts, I have seen some good ones and I've seen some really bad ones. I have seen some that have had service stickers. I've seen some that don't have service stickers. And then at that point, we just go, let's just change it, start fresh, peace of mind. So don't always just see the sticker and go off of kilometers. If you don't understand how the Japanese year system works, Google Translate will help you. Again, it will take that H number and turn it into a relative year that we know. So, yeah. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully I didn't come off as being too cocky. I'm not like that. I'm not that guy who knows a lot about one thing and will just school you on it like you don't know anything. Like, I'm still learning. I learn something new almost every day. So, I mean, perfect example. I was doing that high jet out there. The customer provided the head gasket, which I usually like to provide the parts myself. But he had a guy in Japan get the head gasket, and turns out it was for the 550cc high jet motor, not the 660cc. So I just took the guy's word for it from Japan. It was the right part, put the head gasket in. The engine won't turn all the way over because the piston's hitting the head gasket. So it's just things you learn as you go. Like next time I need to just take 10 minutes, put the car VIN number in, make sure the part's the right part before I go and install it and put the head bolts in and all that, and then realize it doesn't work. And yeah, I know you could check the head gasket and see, but it's such an awkward spot in that car. And I mean, a 550cc to a 660cc, it's not that huge of a difference, but it's enough that the metal ring will hit the top of the piston and the engine won't turn over. So it's just like you learn something new every day, and you're always going to be learning something with cars. And that's why I love cars so much, is I'm always learning something new. I don't have all the answers for everything because I just don't. I'm not that smart. You can't ask me how to build an engine and produce 500 horsepower. I don't know. I have no idea. That's just way above my pay grade. But I know how to take an engine apart and put it back together. Like, that's awesome. I love that. I'm not going to be building performance engines, but I'm going to help engines last a little longer because I'm going to take care of it, not try to do things I'm not supposed to do it. I mean, we do like to put exhaust on these things, but that's not really hurting it that much. Anyways, hopefully some of that information was helpful, and I'm sure a lot of you out there already know a lot about timing belts, and that's awesome. I just want people who are new to this, who aren't familiar with timing belts, because most cars now have timing chains and we never have to worry about it. But if it's got a timing belt, check the kilometers and the year it was done, not just one or the other, because that can get you into trouble. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful, guys. I do have timing belts on my website, well, timing belt kits on my website, and I do offer that service. So if you're local to Seattle area, let's just say I'm in Buckley, but if you're local to Seattle area and you need a timing belt service done, I can certainly help you out with that. So yeah, cool. Thanks for watching, guys. Not sure what I'm going to do next. I feel like just kind of putting out information about parts might be helpful. I know I'm not going to have all the answers for everything, but hopefully enough to help answer some questions. All right, cool. I'll see you guys on the next one.